You want a countdown?
Like,
Three,
no.
two, one. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning into the channel. This is our weekend review, and we are this is officially episode 2. I'm actually nervous here, Brendan.
Me too.
Um, okay, good.
We have a
Now that we got
substantial
that,
following now.
we have
A lot of eyes watching us. All 64 of them.
that's incredible. So, my name's Ben. I am a co-founder here at Field IQ, and then this is my co-founder Brennan. How are
Hey
you
guys,
doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm
Besides,
highly caffeinated.
oh, that's good.
Um, Ready to talk shop. Happy to be here.
Nice, love it. I guess just to be able to catch everybody else up. I mean, I'm actually super stoked on the amount of folks that were able to watch our first episode and are curious about the story. So to be able to do right by y'all, wanted to be able to put together a actual format that we can follow as we're going through and telling these stories. So we'll be going over, the product itself. Want to be able to give high level of like what is what is the product we're actually building, the people that are involved, the processes that we're rolling out, and then the tools that we're using to be able to do that. And then we'll recap at the end. But the goal here is to be able to talk about each and every week the things that we're putting in place or we're working on as we're building out our AI agency, kind of telling our stories. Like I said, this is something that I love because it's a lot of unknown, and I just kind of want to be able to highlight like this is it, kind of raw and unfiltered. Brennan, what's your take on that, man?
Yeah, definitely. I have to edit this part out. My take
Ditto.
on I think that we just roll into what you're talking about.
Awesome then. So let's talk about just like as we're going through, because this we are now in like lifetime and we're reflecting on like this previous week and what we've
Yeah.
done. So just kind of state of the union where we're at. Current priorities for our agency is that we have our 3 core products that we're looking to be able to get live, right? So we are officially on product 2 in the development with that. First priority of business is to complete that chatbot flow. And then there's a couple additions we want to be able to put on there. We want to be able to have the chatbot integrated with a Google Calendar, a form that captures names, and then a geolocation embedding that is just like images within the chat, make it kind of stand out from like the standard chatbots that are out there right now. After we complete that, I want to be able to go back to voice flow, which is not true. We want to go back to Vappy, the voice agent, Brennan.
I know it's confusing.
That it's it is confusing,
It's
but we're going to go
confusing.
back to Vappy. Our voice agent that takes our inbound phone calls and be able to set appointments. It's built out. It's ready. There's a little tweaking on the personality that we want to be able to get back to, but it's not um, make or break. So it's kind of lowering the priority. And then we want to start the design on our third product, which is our troubleshooting bot. Um, that being said, Brennan, you're actually running point on the design for his troubleshooting bot. And while we do have a dev that's on staff that's helping us build out our products, uh, let's just jump right into like the actual process here. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell
So
me about
with
your updates with the troubleshooting.
Yeah, so I can talk about 3 of those things. Because right now we started with the voice agent, right? And
Yep.
we made a mistake about trying to build out integrations for this thing before we even knew who we're going to be integrating with. So we decided to just like build a static model and then sell that and then build the integrations out. So that's pretty much completely done. We just have some tweaking to do, like Ben said, with like personality and changing different voice models to see if maybe there's somebody else that sounds better or has a different tone. But that's pretty much ready to rock and roll. The voice flow stuff has been kind of a headache, like more difficult, honestly, than the voice assistant. Like trying to, outside of embedding those like the forms and the geolocation stuff, but like having to account for certain variables, right? So like if somebody presses enter, then it'll just take that response as true and then like push them down the the flow. And it's just like little things like that have been coming up that we didn't really foresee. But we're hoping to have that taken care of by next week. So we should have all the hiccups smoothed out, all the bumps in the road taken care of, and have like two finalized full products by next week. And then the troubleshooting bot side of things is what I'm the most excited about, because it is a very targeted, specific pain that is happening across our industry. But
Yeah.
everybody's feeling it for the most part, right? Like there is this under staffed segment of the trades market where they're having a really hard time like bringing on new technicians that are knowledgeable, because they're junior technicians, right? And so this troubleshooting app is a way to directly solve for that problem they're feeling. And spend some time with Timu and help like walk me through. I've never developed an app before, so like this is all new, right? Like learning like
Yeah.
how it all integrates, the front end and the back end, how to connect the two with webhooks, etc. But I started designing in Figma, like the general aesthetic and flow of it. And it looks pretty good. And it seems honestly like it will probably be like less complicated than voice flow. I don't know why voice flow is giving us so much headache. It could be like I don't know, that like the vision that we have for it, maybe. And it's our first time doing it with this, like the dev's first time using it too. So there's probably some like workflow things that keep coming up, but
Yeah,
um
definitely. And let me touch on two things because I my perspective is like that for the voice flow chatbot, there's like the two sides of it, which is like the happy path
yeah,
of this is like if everything goes well and everybody interacts with this as a well respectable human would, like, does it get the right result? Does it
mhm,
filter based on intent? Does it do these things? And I feel like we had good vision to be able to map that out and actually execute on that. Where the problems are is like, well, what if people are not fit into like our idea of what like the chatbot should be, which is like I think like super common, right? Which is like
mhm,
the bad path or like sad path on a lot of these things, like what happens when there's fall off, and trying to be able to account for a lot of things, which kind of makes sense. There's really only like one happy path, right? There's only one way for this work to work well, right? And there's different information that we gather through that path, but there's a trillion ways that things
yeah,
go wrong. And I think that's part of it. It was just like um things that I want to be able to think through too is like how we're running QA, like our ability to be able to test things and like pressure test things, and then also understanding when we should, which is I think there's been a mixture of us going through and doing like QA and pressure testing before we have the happy path all the way built out. So I feel
yeah,
like we're consistently like flipping back and forth between building out the desired path and where we want to be able to go, and then saying, well, here's a way that it could go wrong, and like focusing on fixing that, which is I don't think that that's a bad thing of being able to pressure test and find ways that this could go wrong. I think that's something that we should be doing. I think that we as a team need to be able to prioritize and understand when we're working on happy path and when we're working on sad path, and how we're going to be pressure testing, which is like
yeah,
I think going into a little bit of our process stuff of like how we're going to start prioritizing that, because right now
mhm,
like we have a pretty small group. It's me, you, and then Julian, to be able to work on this. But as we are expanding, like this is one of the things that I think is going to need attention, and something that I'm
sure,
seeing.
yeah, definitely. But it's better than like it's better than how we were handling things in the beginning, right? So it's this it's going to be constantly evolving until we can make it efficient, right? In terms of how
Yeah,
we handle, I mean, everything down from like a meeting structure, like how we structure our meetings and our one-on-ones,
yeah,
to how we pressure test. and troubleshoot problems with the product we're trying to build. It'll only get
Yeah.
better, I think, but that's definitely been a hang up and a time suck. Because Julian
Yeah.
does have a tendency to be like, oh, let me go fix this one thing right now that I heard in this sentence 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
like, no, this thing needs to be worked on and fixed, and then we can go to that thing next.
Yeah.
But it will definitely get better over time, for
Yeah. I
sure.
think one of the things that I'm excited about is, you know, we kind of mentioned it up front, but like, we live in South America. That's how, we've developed our relationship. But you're currently not in South America, and me and Julian are. Me and Julian are here in Colombia, and you've been out gallivanting in the good old
The motherland.
Estados Unidos. See, so, but you're coming back next week, so we could actually get an office space and then all meet together and like whiteboard some stuff and like talk
Yeah,
through things, which I'm very excited
very
about, man.
excited about that too. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good to be
Yeah.
back. Like sit down.
So, so yeah, we should have a meeting about that meeting and like prioritize what we want to be able to cover while we're like in person. Because obviously we can't, sit down and have an office space like every day just yet. But, as we're like moving forward, if we're spending like 1 day a week, like renting out a room in a WeWork to be able to talk through things, we need to be able to prioritize how we're going to spend that time because I think it's going to be valuable for us.
Definitely.
So we had somebody recommend last week as far as like process agile development, which it seems so weird. And what it felt like, man, was like going through my first sales training course, which is like, you should ask them a question. And I'm like, oh, dude. Like when I'm like reading through like the basics of like, you should plan and then you should work on it and then you should roll out. I was like,
Okay.
I didn't know this before. Like I had no idea on like how to actually structure our time as in the development process. And I have much more like clear understanding today than I did even like last week. And so I downloaded a couple audiobooks that I'm listening to and I want to be able to that's like my goal for next week is to really have reset expectations and how we work and how we do things. But I been listening to coaching agile teams, and then the other one was Scrum, the art of doing twice the work with half the time.
Nice.
And so want to be able to roll out some of the ideas and concepts that we have here, but it really is like foundational for development, which once again, for folks that are watching this, if you're confident level in us, things that you should absolutely be confident in is our ability to sell uh, software, organize businesses, but actual like dev work and stuff like that. This is a whole new game. So like I'm like explain it to me like I'm 5 kind of stage right now. So I definitely appreciate the comment for those of us recommending that, and it's already been helping. So that's
Yeah,
super cool.
definitely.
So
Appreciate it. A few people have reached out to us with different suggestions and things like that.
yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome. It was good feedback. I mean, I even had a recommendation from, I don't want to butcher his name, but in the accelerator saying you should add timestamps to your video. I was like, you know what? I definitely should have done that.
yeah.
And this video will definitely have timestamps, guys. So don't worry.
When
Um,
you see the timestamps, know that that is a great suggestion and it wasn't ours, and I appreciate you for throwing that at us.
I
Yeah.
want, I want to say his name, but I won't hold back. You know who you are. Thank you.
We're gonna tag you in this
We're
post.
gonna tag your
And then
socials.
okay, the other thing that we did as far as like developing process, which once again, things to be proud of us for, our dev background, no. Our sales background, yes. So I am stoked at like we took some time to be able to develop our value props, our mission statement, and then a 60-second pitch, which let me tell you what, um, is fantastic. So uh, I think for this, and then listen to this, because this is like when I thought about what like our mission statement or like core pillar should be. My thought is like if we were gonna have an office and we were gonna engrave something, you know, like on a plaque and set it above the door that you have to walk in, like Ted Lasso believe poster type thing. Like what would it say and like what are we like going to stand behind? And so what we talked about this, and what we decided was that we wanted to be knowledge experts, right? That we were committed to being experts in the AI field, making sure that your business grows with this technology as it evolves. And I guess what that really means to me is like this really deep understanding that there's a lot that is out there, and that for me, like I need to be spending my time like watching videos, reading articles, understanding how this is being leveraged in other industries, so that way I can have a good knowledgeable perspective, and that these businesses that we're talking to can use me as a resource, regardless if they're using our product, as an expert and as somebody that can give good advice and
Yeah.
knows what I'm talking about. So that's something that I really took to heart with that. But yeah, I mean, you had a heavy hand in this. Like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree. I think that one of the statements that we came up with that, or you came up with actually, that I really like and I think we should adopt is solutions that work for people that work. I think that's a real good statement and it targets our market specifically, right? So solutions that work for people that work. I really like that. But kind of coming down from there, we wanted to, it's important, like if you're learning sales, to understand what problem you're solving for. Because if you don't know, there's no way for you to provide value, right? So we wanted to isolate like the main problems that our industry is facing. And we spent some time kind of walking through what those are. The first one is time, and that's applicable to just about any vertical and modality ever. Like time is great. They need more of it always. So we save you time by reducing errors and automating administrative tasks. Nice and sweet. You guys can copy and use that for whatever it is you're doing too. It's applicable. The second one's money, right? So are you missing? There's a couple components to this, right? It is lost potential revenue and then like revenue bleed, right? So are you capitalizing on every, organic, on all the organic foot traffic that comes across your website, right? So do you just have a type form that is like an outdated type form that people are using to try to contact with you? Like, and are you tracking your organic web traffic? So how much potential revenue are you losing out on by not having the correct technology in place, right? And then there's the other side of this where our vertical uses call centers to handle after hours phone calls. So how much are you paying them to handle these calls, right? And are they handling it with the same enthusiasm as if you would if they were calling? So it could be and it could be a like revenue bleed there, depending on how much money they're spending and how much potential revenue they could be losing out on. So a better way to say this is never miss a lead again. Not only will we increase your revenue, but we can free up resources for your business that would otherwise be spent on menial tasks. Okay. The third one was adoption of technology. Now, for like, there's a lot of business verticals in the workshop that people are targeting. So you got a lot of like e-commerce, personal trainers, real estate, things like that, who are typically more inclined to adopt new technology as it becomes available and relevant. But we're in the trade space, and there's a lot of people who are kind of scared by it or are interested in it but don't really know how to adopt it themselves, right? So like adopting the technology is a problem that we can solve for them by being the expert, like Ben said, right? Like, we know how your business works, we know how this can work with it, let us show you, right?
Yeah,
And then the loss of potential business is kind of ties into money as well, was the fourth major problem we are thinking of too. Like, never let a lead go to voicemail. Every lead that lands at your front door will be communicated with exceptional customer service and then documented directly into your CRM, right? And that kind of ties into money and time. But it's a way to kind of isolate it. So you should be figuring out, like we did, the specific problems that your ICP or your ideal customer profile is facing, and then attach to that problem the solution that you can solve for, right? So, because sometimes in a call, like, you can get kind of caught off by people who seem like, how are you going to help me, right? Like, what are you
yeah,
going to do for me? And if you don't have anything kind of in your back pocket to understand like what it actually is that you can do for this specific problem they're facing, you can lose sales all the time, dude. Like I've lost sales because I didn't know what I was talking about, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the next part of this sales process that we're building out to kind of get to our 60-second pitch, like an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch, for those who don't know, is you're meeting with somebody you're sitting next to someone at a bar, right? And he asks you, you ask him what he does for work, he asks what you do for work. And he says, well, what is field IQ? A 60-second pitch is exactly as it sounds. You tell them who you are, what you do, what you solve for, and why it matters, basically. Um, and you'll be coming across this a lot, especially in like cold calls. You know, like I come across this all the time. Like, who are you? Where are you calling from? That's probably where it's the most applicable in terms of like making sales is cold calling, cold outreach.
Yeah.
But do you want to walk us through the actual kind of pitch that we came up with, or the formatting of it, and then
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of ideas out there and stuff like that about like having a pitch. And I think the thing that sucks about it is like a lot of people don't like to be sold and they
yeah,
don't like to be pitched.
mhm,
And so for me, I think it was like really important that we do like a very, very simple like call and response and have parts that we can flip out based on like what we're seeing in their business. And so the simple like call and response is like be able to say what we've heard, and list the problem that the industry is facing, like in their words. And then the response is, so what we decided is fill in the blank. What was our solution for that, and how did we overcome that problem that we heard? So, example would be like, what we heard is that there's just not enough people to handle the prospects that come through on the day to day for like a website and like inbound phone calls. So what we've decided is that there are a handful of things that AI does really well. And lead capture and customer service is absolutely one of those. So we decided to be able to implement a few solutions that help convert that traffic and prioritize your outreach. I was hoping you'd be open to a conversation about this. And so like that last part is just like a call to action. And once again, like find a call to action that works for you, find something that you can tag it with that works, like but for us, like we have like three different like what we've heard statements, three different like how we or what we decided to be able to do. And the whole goal here is like that, Brennan, you've now developed a series of different like outbound email cadences that are
mhm,
centered around this approach that can make like relevant content but not reuse what we're saying. Um, like all centered around this idea. So
yeah,
I would say like definitely spend some time for yourselves. And one of the things that I'm very proud of like this last week is like that we have the structure, we can clearly identify the problems and say them in an effective way, and can like justify like why we're reaching out. Like this isn't like we're hoping this sounds cool. It's like not like businesses like yours have this problem. Here's a solution that is working right now. Are you open to be able to have a conversation? Like, is this resonating with you, and really make that
yeah,
connection? So, um, I'm excited about that, and that I guess takes us into the next phase of the process, which is like this next week we're rolling out this idea and this methodology. So,
mhm.
I am taking this to the streets on Instagram. Um, gonna be DMing some people. My process is I'm just gonna be pulling up the hashtag HVAC. I'm following a ton of businesses. I'm reaching out from my personal profile with just like very, very simple messaging, liking a couple posts, and seeing if I can start some combos. But nothing, nothing too extreme. Just some like really light social work. I've already been really impressed by the amount of HVAC companies on Instagram. I didn't think that they would be there. I thought that this was like a old school industry, and what I found was that I was wrong, and that there's a lot of juice in there. So that's gonna be interesting to be able to go through. Brennan,
Yeah.
what are you working on?
Yeah, so I'm targeting LinkedIn, and then once our emails get warmed up, right? Because we kind of shot ourselves in the foot here. We should have done this from the rip, but um, I'm just doing old school lead canvassing, right? So trying to build out a lead list. I recorded a 30-minute Loom video on how to actually like scalp leads. So like via Google Maps, their website, like how like I've been doing this for a long time and like it produces sales. And I will be doing it that way. And then we're thinking about bringing on like a virtual assistant to basically like I have the whole outbound like lead gen process set up with the Loom video to walk them through step by step, Excel spreadsheet with the categories that we need. And then the idea here is to kind of hand that off to a virtual assistant to kind of build out that lead sheet. And then I'm going to run them through instantly outbound cadences. And like approach it from that angle with the LinkedIn attached to the side of that too.
Nice. Um, let's talk about like tools that we're going to be leveraging. So you just kind of talked about we're going to be using instantly to be able to do like our outbound email campaigns. Where are we at with that?
I have campaigns built out. I'm just waiting on these products to be finished so I can create a Loom video of me using the product and attach it to the email, embed it in the email. But for me to do that, it has to be like ready to show everybody. So we should have that by next week. But we're just waiting for the emails to get warmed up. And for those of you who haven't gotten to that part yet, you should do it from day one. We didn't. We should have. I was just kind of confused by how to do it, and I didn't think we needed to. But it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for this thing to actually get warmed up. And what that means is when you create a new email account, like it doesn't have any trust within like Google. So you and instantly they'll send your email, like they'll send emails from your email address to other instantly users and then also to yours from other instantly users. So you start building up a reputation that this is a legitimate email address. And that takes like 3 weeks. So we're coming onto the tail end of that. Can't really start sending out any content and marketing material until then. So if you guys haven't done that yet, I would recommend doing it. It's kind of important.
Yeah. Uh, sucks, but we'll get it going.
Yeah.
Other tools that we've knocked out in the last week is Notion, really kind of leaning into how we're using Notion and being able to set up just like our tasks so that way we can work more async, right? And like stay organized with what we're doing. Brendan, you said that it was a mind massage for you to be able to build this out.
Yes, man. Like I'm the kind of guy who like needs to have some sort of structure, otherwise I just fly off the rails. And so it had all these, if you have all these to-do lists inside of your head alongside like your personal life things, like did I pay this bill or like it becomes a nightmare, at least for me, inside of my brain. And so we built out this task dashboard inside of Notion. It's like a free template you can go download and then customize the whole thing. And just having it all out of my brain and then put into this itemized task dashboard was like a massive relief for me. Because you can assign tasks to different members, put due dates, like statuses, like the importance level of it. And that has been a game changer for my day to day, for sure. I'm very proud of that task sheet.
Love it, man. So like as we're wrapping up here, I kind of want to put a bow on the conversation. So I think first thing is grateful for. Uh, I think gratitude is important. Like what do you feel like you're most grateful for looking back on this last week?
Um, I think I'm grateful for your connections. I'm gonna steal it before you say it.
Oh my God.
I'm grateful for your connections, man. Like they're coming in handy, especially as
Yeah.
we're starting to ramp things up here.
Yeah,
So it's
I
gonna be a
think
lot harder.
it's yeah, we did. We talked about that yesterday, and that's my gratitude is like a lot of times like I feel like I'm, on an island and like you can be sucked into my day to day, but what's really fun is like there's a lot of people out there that are very knowledgeable, very helpful, and want to be able to see you succeed. So by tossing out a few messages or just like letting people know what's going on, or even just like staying in contact with folks, you just never know like who's going to come back and be able to help you out when you're in a tough spot, which is like thinking about biggest wins for the week. Uh, I definitely think for me, it's like my structure. You talked about like the difference between you and I as far as like things that get us excited about a sales role. Like I think the biggest win of the week for me was being able to talk about like our forecasting and really have a good vision for stuff. Like for me, that was very helpful to be able to see how we get to our goals and where this could be and give us a framework for that. So I think for me that was the win.
Yeah, I love that too. It was really exciting, because it actually forecasting sucks. Like when you're a sales rep at a structured corporation by a privately held company. You know what I mean? But it's really fun to do it in a startup environment because you can set milestones for yourselves and like
Yep.
targets and like, oh, this is what it could be if we do these things, right?
Yep.
So that was awesome too. My biggest win, I think there's a lot of them, like little ones, but the task sheet was great for me. It was
Yep.
really nice. That was a big
Love
win.
it. Okay, biggest goal for next week?
Biggest goal for next week is to have the voice flow bot and the chat bot ready to go. So I can start cranking out some marketing material for
Yep.
those. Yeah.
Cool, man. I think for me, I want to be able to have at least like three conversations from Instagram, um, like where we're actually having some sort of back and forth. Doesn't mean yes or no or whatever, but I want to have three valid conversations with qualified prospects. And then I'm gonna have two goals. I'm gonna have two of them.
For
Then I
you.
want to be able to finish these audio books and be able to roll out more structure with our development process. So I think that's like a big one. Um, I'm really looking forward to getting together as a group next Thursday. We'll do a live recording
That'd be
at
cool.
the end there and have Julian show off some of these products that he's built. I think that's going
Definitely.
to be a blast. But yeah, that's it from my
That's
end,
it.
man.
All right.
Parting
We
words of
did it.
wisdoms for us.
Nope. You guys, good luck.
Wow. Okay, so feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be able to see this week in review. Feel free to reach out with us for any advice or feedback on what you saw. If you'd like to be able to get a copy of Brendan's outreach emails, feel free to be able to reach out to him on LinkedIn, Mr. Brendan Verone, and he'll get those over to you. But other than that, appreciate you all and look forward to talking with you next week.
Take care, guys.